All right, there's one problem solved. All right, now moving on to the next. It looks like that's right. All right. Sweet. Okay. There we go. Now we're talking. All right, and then that. Oh, wasn't turned on, Sarah. If y'all were here last week, but I didn't put the thing in for me to have it, so we got to go do that too. Y'all are virtually getting to witness all the steps involved with putting on a church service just done live in front of you. Yeah, this is the behind-the-scenes peek at Refuge service, because apparently it all got forgotten by me. All right. Oh, we're rocking now. Okay. Imagine people on the live stream. It just must look so... All right, we're in Proverbs chapter 2. We're doing a study of Proverbs. We started last week. Now, this week's sermon, it was funny when I started going through it. It's just literally like a repeat of last week. All of the message from last week I saw, and you'll see as well, elements of it in the message this week, which was super neat to me, because I didn't even realize that, but as I was making this. So we're going to actually do chapter 2 and 3 today, because 2 is just largely stuff we've already talked about. That's not to say I'm not going to wax eloquent about a couple different stops in it, but we're going to try to get through 2 and 3. So some of it we're going to kind of speed through. So I'm going to jump right into it. Verse 1, Proverbs 2, verse 1. My child, listen to what I say and treasure my commands. Tune your ears to wisdom and concentrate on understanding. Now, I want to stop here and I want to talk about tuning for a minute. I want to show you guys something. So when you're tuning something, one of the key parts of that process involves something that I'm going to call a fixed point of reference. You got to have a fixed point of reference to tune something, anything. And so, am I coming through there, Thomas? All right, cool. So, all right, we're in tune there. We're gonna jack this up. All right, I'm gonna sit here and play that chord until we hit our building fundraiser. Yeah. Okay. And this could go off really poorly, guys. I hadn't really tested this out all the way. This is a half-cocked theory. All right, so if I'm going to tune this guitar, I need a fixed point of reference. I need something to tune it all to, right? Otherwise, I'm just turning the things, right? And so today, we're going to use that right there. So, like I say, right now, that chord sounds really terrible. All right, so we're tuning that chord into this fixed point of reference. All right. It still doesn't sound quite right. All right, we're getting there. I'm missing it. There we go. All right, now, how we did that is we tune each note to the reference point, right? So if I change this G, that now I've got to tune all those other notes to that, right? We got to pick a reference point. Now, here's the thing. That sounds pretty good, and I can sit here and I can play that. But there's a problem. This has been tuned to itself. This is a digital keyboard here. It doesn't lie. Whatever it says the key of G is, whatever frequency the G note is, that's what it is. It doesn't have strings. It can't be wrong. So all right, so here we go. Here's a G. Well, that's actually not bad, so my example didn't work at all. Here, but you get my point. if I've tuned if I've tuned this thing to itself, I can sit in a room and I can play with it all day long, and it sounds great. And it can just sound so good and seem so right. But when I go out there and I try to take this and I try to put it in the mix, I try to play with others, I try to take this out on the stage of life and get it involved with things, it's out of tune with reality. It's in tune with itself, but it's out of tune with reality. Now, do y'all see where I'm going with this a little bit? So here's the thing. When we, and for the sake of what we're talking about today, my G note there is our experience. When we tune ourselves to our own truth, or let's say to our own experience, when we tune ourselves to our own experience, we have that happen. It sounds good. It makes sense to us. But then when we try to go out there and take that tuning into the workplace, into our families, into our marriage, into life, it's not in harmony. It's not in alignment with reality, right? Because we've made the fixed point of reference our own experience, our own truth. And so we've developed a lens that's out of alignment with reality. And that's why, and you guys know what I'm talking about, that's why we sit there and we're like, it sounds great. And then we go try to play with everybody and it sounds terrible. And a lot of times we start blaming everything else. Man, none of these people can tune their instruments. This is unbelievable, right? So tune your ears to wisdom. What is wisdom? What did we say last week? Wisdom is rooted in, founded on fear of the Lord, the reverence, the awe, the respect, your way is the only way, regardless of what I might see or regardless of how I might feel. That is where wisdom is founded and rooted. And what the Bible is saying here is tune our ears to that. Make that our fixed point of reference. Tune your life, tune your ears to wisdom. Because then we're in alignment with reality, not just in tune to our own experience. All right. Verse 3. Cry out for insight and ask for understanding because of what we just said. Search for them as you would for silver. Seek them like hidden treasures, like that thing that you want more than anything right now, like that thing that, you would just, if you could have it, you would just be so happy. Seek it like that. Your first priority. Then you will understand, y'all see this, then you will understand what it means to fear the Lord. Do y'all remember that last week? Talking about what does it mean? What is this holy fear? What does that look like? A lot of times we don't even have the framework to understand it. It's like what I said last week, describing a smell. You know, that reverence, that awe, that appreciation, that place of holy fear, that holy respect for God. It's like I can't even quite describe how you get there. I can't even quite describe what that is, but if you know, you know, right? And you will gain knowledge of God. For the Lord grants wisdom. From his mouth come knowledge and understanding. He grants a treasure of common sense to the honest. He is a shield to those who walk with integrity. He guards the paths of the just and protects those who are faithful to him. Then you will understand, here we are again, what is right and just and fair. Do y'all remember that from last week? You will understand what is actually right, not what is right in your own eyes, by your own fixed point of reference. And when you understand that, you will have found the right way to go. It will lead you in making the right decisions. For wisdom will enter your heart, and knowledge will fill you with joy. Wise choices will watch over you. Understanding will keep you safe. Wisdom will save you from evil people, from those whose words are twisted. Do y'all remember that last week? When we lack wisdom, it makes us vulnerable to those who also do. We don't have the wisdom to watch out for those who would lead our paths astray. To somebody else with wisdom, with this quality of wisdom that defines their life and choices, they can look and see like, what are you doing? But we don't see it. It looks completely normal to us. But when we gain wisdom, it will protect us from that. These men turn from the right way, to walk down dark paths. They take pleasure in doing wrong, and they enjoy the twisted ways of evil. Their actions are crooked, and their ways are wrong. Kind of like Miss Vicky was sharing her testimony weeks ago, and that sin builds up, and it sears our souls, and we lose our ability to, our conscience becomes, I can't think of the word, our conscience becomes desensitized. Things that somebody else would feel like is really wrong, like it doesn't even mean anything to us anymore because our consciences, our souls have become so seared, so smeared in what we've been rolling around in. I'm right there with you guys. Wisdom will save you from the immoral woman, from the seductive words of the promiscuous woman. She has abandoned her husband, and she ignores the covenant she made before God. Entering her house leads to death. It is the road to the grave. The man who visits her is doomed. He will never reach the paths of life. Now, guys, that's very true, men. It's very true. But I want to help you ladies out here. I know we have a ton of ladies in the house. Proverbs is kind of written from the masculine perspective. It's kind of written almost the context being like a son or a father to his son, you know. So it's written very much like two men or from the masculine perspective. But I want y'all to understand that wisdom, this quality of wisdom, this path of life is certainly not something that only applies to men or that men have some kind of monopoly on. So I'm going to perform a little switcheroo here and help you guys out. I just rewrote that last little bit. Wisdom will save you from the immoral man.
Listen up, girls.
I did this just for you, Safe Haven ladies. From the sweet and appealing words of the manipulative man. He has abandoned his call to do what is right and live justly. He is in fact not a man, but a child who will bring you harm. He holds no appreciation for what God has called him to be. Entering his reality means death to you. It is the road to the grave. The woman who falls prey to his charms is doomed. She will never experience fullness and freedom in life. So follow the steps of the good and stay on the path of the righteous, for only the godly will live in the land, and those with integrity will remain in it. But the wicked will be removed from the land, and the treacherous will be uprooted. Can I just say it this way? The treacherous and the wicked will uproot themselves from the land, because the land was not designed to align with their tuning. Because, I can give a wise person $1 million, and he'll make another $1 million out of it. I can give a fool, which is, again, we've said is the antithesis of wisdom. It's if wisdom is living this life defined by these qualities and these traits, then being a fool and living a foolish life is basically the opposite of that. It's tuning to yourself and going through life with that tuning, trying to make it work. I can give a fool $1 million, and it'll be gone. Some of you guys know how quickly it can be gone. Right? If we don't possess the quality of wisdom, if we don't walk the paths of righteousness, you guys have experienced this, so you know, we will uproot ourselves from the land of promise. We can't hold on to anything good because our hearts are toxic, because our minds are so polluted with our worldly wisdom, with our carnal wisdom that's broken, that brings about death instead of life. So it's not a matter even of God like booting us out. We'll wander out. Because it's the righteous, it's those who walk the paths of righteousness, it's those whose lives are defined by the quality of wisdom, who walk in ways of integrity. They will be able to possess the land and stay in it and benefit from its fruit. Amen? The central theme of this second proverb is renewing our mind, valuing wisdom, seeking it like treasure. Romans 12:2 says, don't copy the behavior and customs of this world, but let God transform you into a new person. How many of you guys know you can become a new person? By changing the way you think. That's how. Where you're no longer tuning to yourself. You're tuning to another fixed point of reference that leads you into green pastures beside still waters, that restores your soul, that leads you in paths of righteousness, that protect you and hem you in on all sides. Then You will learn to know God's will for you, which is good and pleasing and perfect. You will learn what is right and just and fair, and you will live by it, and it will lead you into good things. Guys, I want y'all to see that as wisdom becomes fully installed on our hearts, it guards our lives. It protects us. And I want to show you guys something. A lot of you guys are trying to imitate what you think wisdom would be. It sounds something like this. Well, Miss Sharon wouldn't want me to do that. Right? You're trying to imitate what you think wisdom looks like, what you think God wants from you, but you're just trying to imitate it. It isn't installed in here yet. It isn't defining your actions organically. You're just trying, and that's a good place to start. I'm not saying that's bad, but it'll only be as good as you're any moment, right? It'll only be as good as you are in that given moment. But what this is talking about is not a impersonation, trying harder to impersonate what wisdom looks like, or shall I say the fruit and qualities of wisdom. It's not talking about trying to impersonate that. It's talking about seeking it, pursuing it at a level where it is in here, where it becomes an automated response. Proverbs 3. Proverbs 3 is about, the theme of Proverbs 3 is about trusting God. I'm just going to keep going right into it because it's right where we're already talking. My child, never forget the things I have taught you. Store my commands in your, where? Now that's interesting to me from what I was saying, because we kind of think of the mind as the container and the container of knowledge, right? But the Bible here is not saying put it in your mind. Know this stuff. It's saying get it in your heart. Because here's the thing. What you know does not define your actions. That's why, how many of you ladies, well, maybe I shouldn't ask for a show of hands. I won't do that to you. How many of you ladies have known that you should avoid the immoral man and known that was, you've known that it's going to lead you down a destructive path, but you did it anyway. Right? Hands all over the building. There's not that many hands up in worship, y'all. That's because what we know in our heads does not define our actions. That's why individuals who know their Bible inside and out can live very, very destructive, limited lives that are defined very much by bad fruit in their families. In fact, and this sounds weird to say, but some of the people I know that are the most unhappy and unsatisfied in life are the ones that can quote you any verse from the Bible at any time. That certainly doesn't define anybody that knows their Bible like that. But you see that. It's because it's our hearts that define our actions. We act out of our hearts. We act out of what's in here. Like Jesus said, from the heart flows all the things of life. And so what this wisdom thing is about is not about, like I was saying, imitating something. It's about it's about a changing of the code. Where your code has been altered, and it's not like, well, I shouldn't do that. It's like you already know you don't have any choice but to go do that thing. Have you guys ever experienced that where your code is changing and it's not like, well, should I have that conversation or not? You already know inside that you got to have that conversation. And you don't want to have that conversation, but you already know you have to. That's where the code is different. And the code is leading you into paths of righteousness. And the code is you're not having to think about it. It's just your automated response is a choice of wisdom. Or your automated response is red flag, right? Now, you guys might ask, how do I get it into my heart? And that's another one of those things that's kind of like describing a smell. It's just so what I'll tell you is, if you ask me how to get turf on your jersey, I would just say to get out on the field. And it's just going to happen, okay? You get out on the field, and you just start showing up, and you start seeking, and you start lining up on the line, and you'll find turf on your jersey because God will pursue you. He will be found out there on the field, and you're not going to get it all right. But if you're seeking it like a hidden treasure, if you're willing to stop at nothing to get out there and find it. simply because you don't want to keep experiencing the fruit you've been experiencing, then it'll start to get into your heart, I promise. I can't give you a 3-step formula. Read your Bible, pray, and go to church. I mean, I hope you're doing all 3 of those things, but it happens a little more organically than that. It happens as we're out there seeking it like hidden treasure on the field of life. Verse 2, if you do this, you will live many years and your life will be satisfying. Oh, how sad it is when we have long lives that aren't full. And we're just like trapped, living an empty life, trapped in our own skin and bones. And we're not living a full life. I don't want to live a long life that isn't full. Never let loyalty and kindness leave you. Tie them around your neck as a reminder. Write them deep within your heart. Then you will find favor with both God and people, and you will, here we go, earn a good reputation. We're going to camp here for a minute. We're going to talk about a good reputation. A reputation is to an individual what Google reviews are to a company or a product. When you sit there and you see 5-star review, 5-star review, 5-star review, that tells you this is a good place to eat. This is a good business to do business with. This is a good product to buy, right? When you see 1-star review, 1-star review, 2-star reviews, maybe that's not where I want to go today. I don't want to get food poisoning, right? Maybe that's not a product I want to buy, right? That's what a good reputation is to us as individuals. Reputations are built. We're not born with them. I have a bunch of things I want to say about reputation. I'm hoping I don't forget any of it. Reputations are built. They're not something you're born with. Only you can build your reputation. Now, y'all sit on that for a minute. Only you can build your reputation. Nobody else can build it for you. Nor can anybody else really break it for you. And some of you guys don't think that's true. But it is. If you let it play out. Only you can build your reputation. I want you guys to know something. A good reputation takes longer to build than a bad reputation. It's also easier to lose. It takes a long time to build a good reputation. And I want to tell some of you guys, and I'm going to be a little bit hard on you here. I'm going to be a little bit hard on you guys here. Just brace yourself. Some of you guys need to grow up. Some of you guys need to grow up. This happens all the time, and guys, I'm right there with you. Listen. But we've spent a lot of time brick by brick building a bad reputation. And a reputation isn't an all-in-one thing. You can have a great reputation financially and have a horrible reputation in some other area. Reputations are in little containers. I might have a great reputation with my business and a horrible reputation with my wife at home, right? So understand that. But when we're talking about, some of you guys are trying to rebuild your relationship with your wife. Some of you guys are trying to rebuild your relationship with your children. Some of you guys are trying to get a job. All kinds of things that's going on in this building this morning. And a lot of times we cop an attitude because the world doesn't just write us a blank slate because we've, started a new program or done something good. And so we get this attitude like, well, they just judge me. They just won't give me a chance or whatever. And what I'm telling you is you've got to grow up. Because what I'm telling you is you built that reputation. If you have a bad reputation, nobody gave it to you. You built it. You chose it. And you can unbuild it. You can build in its place a good reputation. But it's going to take time. It's going to require effort. It's going to be bought and paid for. And I want you to understand something. When you're on the end of building a reputation, 3 months feels like a long time. But when you're on the outside looking in, 3 months doesn't mean anything. If I'm going to hire you, I need to know that there's some longevity in this. Pure Desire calls it durability. I need to know that this change, that this seemingly different reputation that you're establishing is going to stand the test of time. It's going to weather some storms. I need to know that. 3 months doesn't cut it. Right? And I want to tell you something. Coming to a place where you can own, and this is what I meant by growing up. the foundation, like one of the first steps of moving forward, guys, is when you can take ownership of your reputation. So in other words, if I'm looking at hiring you, or if I'm looking at letting you back into my life, or whatever it looks like, and you've got that attitude, and you can't take ownership for that, and it's like, well, you shouldn't be, you should, I've been doing better, and you fill in the blank, guys. You know what I'm talking about. That tells me a whole lot about where you're at. It tells me a whole lot about where you're at. Because can I tell you something? Where healing and change and growth really starts is when you're like, yeah, that is absolutely my reputation, and I've earned every penny of it. And I'm working on it, but I totally understand that you wouldn't trust me right now. I wouldn't expect you to trust me right now. That tells me a whole lot about where you're at. Because that's the kind of ownership that change and growth begins in. And if you can't do that, I can promise you, you're not going to get very far down the road. Now, I said I was going to be hard on you, but guys, this is so important. Your reputation fights for you. Some of us haven't been taught to value reputation because we've grown up around nobody had a good reputation, and that was kind of just their reputation. Like everybody kind of wore the same shirt there. But you know something? As you're starting to try to rebuild your life, as you're starting to try to, when you get a good reputation, it fights for you when you're not even there. It's amazing. It's one of the best things. When I was young, Mom and Dad, they really pushed reputation. They hammered that nail a lot for us. And I'm glad they did, because I've witnessed in life how having a good reputation fights your battles whether you're even in the room or not. It's amazing when somebody comes to spread lies and gossip about you, which will happen, right? It's amazing when that happens, you're not even there, and the response that the other person has to this person that's spreading lies and gossip because of your good reputation is... It's amazing when your reputation causes them to take a step away from the individual that's challenging it, when your reputation is that strong. A lot of us may not have experienced that yet. But your reputation will fight for you. Your reputation will go ahead of you and prepare the way. Your reputation precedes you, sir, right? For good or for bad. It can prepare the way as a sweet-smelling thing that opens doors for you. It can prepare the way as a foul stink where the door's shut before you ever even got the opportunity. What I want to encourage you guys with in the middle of all this butt kicking is a lot of times we start a process of change in our marriage, in our family, in our recovery, whatever it might be. And we've got our eyes on that reason we're doing it, that thing we want out there, that good job, that relationship, that whatever it is. And that's what we want, and that's what we're after. But it just doesn't get any closer. 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, 5 months. And it just feels like we're just like, the costs, the upfront costs are just so high. And it doesn't feel like we're buying anything. But what I want to encourage you guys with is that before you can have the house full of hardwood floors and beautiful lighting that's warm and welcoming and inviting, before you can ever have that, you've got to have a foundation. You've got to spend the money to build the foundation that house is built on. And when you build the foundation, which it isn't something you can move into, it doesn't look great. It's just a bunch of concrete that you've spent money on and you just keep spending money on. But when the foundation is built and paid for, then the house can be built on top of it. So I want to encourage you guys with this, whether you're in a relationship that you're rebuilding trust in, or whether you're trying to rebuild trust with your community, rebuild your life, try to get back into your, whatever is going on this morning. What I want to tell you is that you're going to buy the foundation before you purchase the finished product. And so, day in, day out, when you feel like you're just paying out and you're not getting anything for it, I want you to know you are. You're building a reputation. You're rebuilding a reputation. You're repairing and rebuilding the foundational elements that your life is built on. And you will someday, once that has been established, You will end up with that thing on the horizon. You will end up there. But there's a lot of things you've got to rebuild first. And so don't feel like you're not getting anywhere and you're not buying anything and it's just not happening. You're building some invisible elements that are incredibly important. Y'all hear me? All right, I'll quit beating this to death. It's really important, though. Really important. And it trips us up so much. We can get so discouraged. I just want to encourage you guys to grow not weary in well-doing. To keep doing the right things. Being in the right places. You will reap a harvest in due time. And it'll be actually a bigger harvest than you realize. Because you don't even have the framework to see or appreciate the things that are being built inside of you until you get there. And then you look back and it's like, oh my gosh, there was so much growth that was happening. There was so much change, like, man. And it'll almost be worth more to you than what's built on it because you'll have a good foundation. Verse 5, trust the Lord with all your heart. Do not depend on your own understanding. Seek His will in all you do, and He will show you which path to take. I like this. Don't be impressed with your own wisdom. Instead, fear the Lord and turn away from evil. Then you will have healing for your body and strength for your bones. Now, I just want to point out, guys, with all your heart, in all you do. Guys, partial trust is kind of like a mostly leak-free boat. It doesn't really mean a lot. You know what I mean? We don't really experience the magic and the benefit and the life that gets defined by total trust until we totally trust in all that we do. And we're not holding back. And we're not like constantly defaulting back to doing it our own way and valuing our own understanding and our own tuning. As long as we're and that's where a lot of us spend a lot of our time is in partial trust, where we neither experience the full benefits of trust, nor are we doing it our own way. We're just kind of like somewhere in the middle in that lukewarm space that's just hard to even deal with because it's just a little of both and it doesn't produce good fruit. And when we're in that space, it's easy to, we're not doing it all our way. When you're doing it all your way and it goes wrong, there's no one else to blame. But when we're kind of doing a little of both, it's just we end up questioning God. Well, is He good? Is He true? Can we actually trust Him, right? Total trust. When we get to a place, guys, where it's either He's either real or He isn't. Every word He says is true or none of it's true. He's either going to come through and take care of me and work things out for my good, whether or not it's in the way that I would think, or He can't be trusted at all, right? It's kind of all or nothing. It's like the one thing that's okay to be all or nothing about. And when it comes to trust, guys, the deeper total trust goes in our life, the more it's no ifs, ands, or buts, whether or not this looks like it's going to work out, whether or not I get what I think I want. Me and Ross were actually talking about this week. When we get into total trust, it's like we really can't even, we don't even have to worry about like disappointment that much. Because either what I think I want is actually what I want and God's going to bring it to pass, or what I think I want isn't actually what I actually would want and God's going to not bring it to pass and take me there, so I really don't have to worry about it. Y'all see what I'm talking about? Total trust is a win-win situation. And I'm not saying everything is always going to go our way, but we can be sure of the fact that God is going to get us where we need to be. Amen. Through every circumstance, through every season, total trust is rooted in that. And a lot of us struggle to walk in total trust. Well, a lot of us. We all struggle to walk in total trust. But the more we get it, I tell you, the more I want of it. Because it defines my life in a way that, yet again, it's just hard to describe exactly. Things work out that I can't even quite explain to you how that exactly worked out, but it worked out. You know what I mean? And I'm not just talking about physical things. I'm not talking about the bills getting paid. I'm talking about stuff in my heart, you know? The healing of my mind. You know, don't depend on your own understanding. Don't be impressed with your own wisdom. I will tell you guys, there's a little bit of, I don't want to say this the wrong way, but there's a little bit of self-doubt in faith. There's a little bit of, I don't entirely trust my insight on things. in a humble way. And I'm not talking about insecurity. I'm talking about shifted security. I'm not secure. I'm very secure, but I'm not secure because of my understanding about this, because I don't entirely always trust my responses and my take on a situation, given that if I'll step back from it, about 90% of the time it ends up being a little lopsided. So I don't entirely trust that. But in trust in God, in all things, in all of my ways, with all of my heart, I find a shifted security that isn't secure because of my intellect about it, but is secure because of his heart for me. And I'm very secure in that. So I'm not talking about self-doubt in like the super insecure way, but I'm talking about getting to a place where I don't entirely trust the way that I'm responding to that. That triggered me, and I don't entirely trust what my trigger is telling me. I don't entirely trust what my heart is telling me about that guy or that girl or whatever. When we start going through life with a little bit of a, let me dig into this, because I'm not quite sure about what my feelings are yelling at me and telling me is true. I'm not quite sure that's true. We're going to start finding a whole spectrum of things that that we've been completely blind to. Verse 9, honor the Lord with your wealth, with the best part of everything you produce. Then he will fill your barns with grain and your vats will overflow with good wine. Guys, I'll just say this, give God your first fruits. I want you to know God doesn't need any of it. God doesn't need your tithes, your time, your resources. God doesn't need it. It's all his. But there's a benefit for you in it that, again, is hard to describe. And it is so not like a name it, claim it thing. Like if you've ever heard this whole thing preached, like, well, if you give $10, you'll get $20 back. Can we just not go there? Like, it don't work that way. What I can say is that when you show up and you bring God your best, and that can look like tithes. I tithe, y'all. It's a code thing. It's not like, well, I tithe when I have money for it. That's one of those things like I'm talking about where it just becomes a path of integrity that's in here, not up here. I don't stop and go, well, let's see, is there enough money this month? There's enough money. If I have a dime, then we're going to split it out. It's just a code thing. I wouldn't think of doing otherwise. I don't even think about it anymore. I just hit the button, And you know something? God has never failed to take care of me. And it hadn't always been financially. And that's where we kind of get, it's like, oh, well, if we give money, God's going to bless it. Well, no. It's going to be abundance that he defines. And God-defined abundance is a lot less shallow. It's a lot more wide and deep in our lives. Abundance in relationship. Abundance of health and healing. Living a long life that is defined by fullness. Give God your first fruits. Sometimes we're going to sing a song next week that says, talking about prayer and faith, it might just move the mountain, or it might just change my heart. Sometimes God-defined abundance looks like not God moving the mountain, but God changing your heart and changing your relationship with that mountain. Matter of fact, that happens a lot of the time. And that's an abundance of its own kind, a peace that passes understanding, right? A fullness. So guys, I just can't encourage you enough. Give God your first fruits. You will not be disappointed. He will pour back into your lap in ways that you couldn't have even dreamed up. And again, it may not be financially. You may be poor as Job's turkey, but you'll be all right with it. Verse 11, my child, don't reject the Lord's discipline, and don't be upset when he corrects you. For the Lord corrects those he loves, just as a father corrects a child in whom he delights. Joyful is the person who finds wisdom, the one who gains understanding. For wisdom is more profitable than silver. Her wages are better than gold. Wisdom is more precious than rubies. Nothing you desire can compare with her. All of the things that you want or think that you want in life are built on the foundation of wisdom and integrity. That's why, guys, if we put it first, if we make that our chief desire, to live a life that is pleasing to God, to align our hearts with his will, to walk in integrity in all that we do, with everyone that we do it with, if that is our heart's objective and our heart's desire, then we have all the rest. All the rest is built on that. There's a Rudyard Kipling poem that some of you guys might have heard at some point, I don't know, but it says in it, if you can keep your head when all about you are losing theirs, then yours is the earth and all that's in it. Or something to that tune. If you can keep your head, if you have the integrity and the discernment and the wisdom to walk that path of wisdom, to live out of that quality of wisdom, when people around you can't do that, when people around you are turning to the right and the left, then guys, the world is your oyster. And it'll take time to reflect that. But I hope you guys can see the value of this, the value of integrity. And we've got to learn to value it, because a lot of times it's not something that we value yet. We have to develop a taste for it. My kids, there's some things that they don't taste very good to them. You can give a kid a cup of coffee, and they pucker up. They don't like it. But God, how many of you guys just can't even wake up without your coffee? So good. It's so good. It just touches your soul. It's a developed taste. Integrity's kind of like that. Living a life where your choices and your path is defined by integrity. It's not something that when we're immature, we value. But as we mature and as we allow God to grow it in our hearts, it comes to be that's what we want more than anything. And it defines our life. Verse 16. Sorry, I keep getting hung up. We're going to push through this. She offers you long life in her right hand and riches and honor in her left. She will guide you down delightful paths. All her ways are satisfying. Wisdom is a tree of life, sustenance to those who embrace her. Happy are those who hold to her tightly. By wisdom, the Lord founded the earth. By understanding, he created the heavens. By his knowledge and the deep fountains of the earth, by his knowledge, the deep fountains of the earth burst forth, and the dew settles beneath the night sky. That's why when we don't walk with wisdom, we walk out of alignment with literally creation. Because it was by wisdom and discernment and knowledge that this whole world was formed. It's the law, if you will, that it runs off of. So when we live out of alignment with it, we're out of alignment with literally everything. And we can't find our place, and we find ourselves rejected from the land of promise wherever we go. How many of you guys just moved all over the map and that trail of destruction just chases you all over the place? Yeah. We've got to come into alignment. My child, don't lose sight of common sense and discernment. Hang on to them, for they will refresh your soul. They are like jewels on a necklace. They keep you safe on your way, and your feet will not stumble. You can go to bed without fear. You will lie down and sleep soundly. You will not be afraid of sudden disaster or the destruction that comes upon the wicked. Hey, how many of you guys, your life is, or maybe has been, pretty defined by fear? It ought to be most of you. Pretty defined by fear. That's one thing integrity gives us, and fully trusting in God. So we don't have to live in fear anymore. We do, because in reality, the only thing we really have to fear in life, guys, is our own choices. At the end of the day, when we don't get in the way, I'm not saying hard times don't come or anything, but what's really hard are when hard times come because we brought them on. And now we get to walk through a bunch of butt kicking. Brought on, that isn't necessarily God prescribed. Will he chase us down in it? Will he use it for good? Absolutely. But it wasn't necessarily what we had to experience. That's worth being afraid of. But other than that, if God is for us, who can be against us, And when we walk a path of integrity, we eliminate, to whatever degree, user error. And that integrity guides us and protects us and leads us in that path where God is defining our life, leading our paths towards good things. Fear, we don't have to live in fear anymore. For the Lord is your security. He will keep your foot from being caught in a trap. Oops, I didn't skip ahead. There we go. Do not withhold good from those who deserve it when it's in your power to help them. That's just practical. If you can help your neighbor now, don't say, come back tomorrow, and then I'll help you. Don't plot harm against your neighbor. For those who live nearby trust you. Hey, I got to back up because if you can help your neighbor now, there are times to somebody out there. There are times when you don't need to help somebody. Okay? Okay. I'm just throwing that out there because sometimes we get this stuff turned around a little backwards and we be out there buying people cars that, like, that isn't what God's got us doing right now. You know, like sometimes we can be people pleasers, right? And we can be trying to make... So when you can help your neighbor, when it is appropriate... All right, moving on. Sorry, just had to hit that. Popped into my mind and had to say it. Don't plot harm against your neighbor, for those who live nearby trust you. Don't pick a fight without reason when no one has done you harm. Can I just say this? A lot of the time, I would say most of the time, we pick a fight not because actual harm has been done, but because we have perceived harm or we fear harm. A lot of us, especially those that struggle with like getting along with others, so often, guys, it's not that actual harm has been done. That would actually be a reason to pick a fight, right? But we've perceived harm, we've perceived slight, we've perceived disrespect, and a lot of that is because we're looking through a lens of insecurity and all kinds of stuff. And so something that you've said, you hadn't actually done anything to me, and you may not even be thinking what I think you're thinking, but you've pushed a button on my brokenness remote, and I have received a message loud and clear that says something that's not necessarily being said. And so now some of us pick a fight, and some of us just retreat into, whatever that is. We got to be a little bit careful about that perceived stuff. There are whole worlds that rise and set on stuff that isn't even reality. That's just perceived. And I'll tell you, I've been amazed in my life as I've begun to heal and as I've begun to do like parts work has helped me a lot and stuff, counseling and whatnot, growing in my recovery. I've been super amazed at how I've even seen stuff here recently where somebody says something or does something and it's like I recognize like a past version of me. I'm like, dude, he would have gotten that would have like turned him upside down. And it didn't bother me. And I'm like, this is so cool. And it's a metric. It's like, oh, I see the growth. And oh, I pray that could define all of our lives. That we could have relationships with our spouses that aren't defined by perceptions of what she's saying or what he's saying. And relationships with one another. It's so hard to have relationships with one another when we live in perceptions instead of reality. And then it's not the real us that's even having a relationship. We're just having a relationship with each other's triggers, It's not unity. And again, guys, it starts with trusting God fully, where I don't have to be afraid of what you might think of me. And so I can lend just a little bit of grace because you know what? God's got me, and it's okay. I'm secure. I don't have to go fight for what's best for me or on the back end try to manipulate. I used to manipulate so much, and I didn't even know it, but I would try to... without realizing, I would try to get you to unsay what you just said. You ever done that? Where it's you try to you have this conversation and you're trying to get around to you didn't mean that, right? You know what I mean? Oh boy. Verse 31. Don't envy violent people or copy their ways. Such wicked people are detestable to the Lord, but he offers his friendship to the godly. The Lord curses the house of the wicked, but he blesses the home of the upright. The Lord mocks the mockers, but is gracious to the humble. Lord, give us humble hearts. The wise inherit honor, but fools will be put to shame. I hope you guys see this in closing. This theme of trusting God with all of us, with everything throughout this proverb. Putting him first in all that you do, seeking his ways, and trusting him with getting you where you need to be. Oh, guys, that is the path of life. That is where it's at. From somebody who's spent so much of their time trying to work things out for their best interest, trying to make sure, just like I was just saying, my version of that isn't getting aggressive with you. My version of that is trying to make you happy with me at all times, in all ways. Guys, when we get to a place where we can truly trust God with our lives and with our well-being, walk the path of integrity and leave the rest with Him, oh, that is where life is at, y'all. That is where abundance and peace and fruit and freedom and goodness is at. You guys bow your heads with me? Lord, all of these things we've talked about today, God, we're going to continue just digging into this, laying out this path of wisdom and integrity and what it looks like and what it feels like and what it smells like. And God, just give us a hunger for it. Give us a hunger in our hearts for integrity, for doing what is right when nobody's looking, just for the love of the game. God, I just pray that we would be able to live lives defined by that, because, God, I know that path is where it's at. Lord, I pray for those of us that are struggling with ownership, who are struggling with ownership of, God, reputation and all of that. God, I just pray that you would give us integrity there, that we would be able to stand up straight, God, and look in the eye the reputation we've built and own it and be able to begin the work of rebuilding it. I just pray you would meet us there, that you'd give us favor, that you'd give us insight. God, I pray for everyone in this building this morning. I pray for our hearts. I just pray that you'd turn them towards you, God. Teach us to trust you in all our ways. In Jesus' name, amen.